Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth podcast,
Yay!
Fluffy Gaming Podcast. So, good evening, everyone.
Good
What have we
evening.
been playing?
What have you been playing?
I don't know. What have you been playing?
No, what have you been playing? No, it's we are Tim. Tim's here.
Hello, my
I'm
name's
Rob.
Tim.
That's
That's Rob.
Barry.
Hello.
Barry's here as well. We're joined by
I'm
Barry.
here too.
So
Lapido.
yeah,
Yes, I've been playing a bit of Dishonored again and Mark of the Ninja, which is my two main go-to games at the moment. Not very much anything else Guild Wars 2 wise. You
what's Dishonored?
know what Dishonored is? Everyone knows what Dishonored is.
I
Surely.
don't know. And on behalf of everyone who doesn't know what Dishonored is, I expect you to explain about it and stuff.
Oh my god. Well, Dishonored basically you play a stealthy assassin dude who's really, really, really annoyed.
Sort of like Mark of the Ninja.
No, it's quite different to Mark of the Ninja. Mark of the Ninja, you play a little ninja who's really, really, really annoyed. Dishonored,
Right.
you're an assassin who's really, really annoyed.
Sort
But
of the
you're-
same thing, but yeah.
Well, Dishonored, you have supernatural powers.
Oh.
Mark of the Ninja, you have
Ninja powers?
supernatural powers. With
They seem
Dishonored,
very different.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dishonored's very Skyrim, and Mark of the Ninja's very 2D.
Sure. So like art style different, but same concept really. otherwise.
They're stealthy games, yeah.
Yeah.
and
That's
I
what I was
actually-
getting at.
And the funny thing is, I really don't like stealthy games normally, and I've really been lapping these two up. Dishonored, you can play completely how you want. You don't have to be stealthy at all. Mark of the Ninja, you have to be stealthy, otherwise you'd get killed. So Dishonored's been really interesting because you can basically just kind of teleport around up behind people or in front of people and stab them in the neck. And it's brilliant. Freezing time, moving people around, taking possession of people, taking possession of rats. That's great fun. It's a great game. Yeah, it's brilliant and a good story as well.
Cool.
And then some Awesome Noughts, which it was on free weekend this weekend, and my kids love it.
What is this?
Well, Awesome Noughts is kind of like a MOBA League of Legends HON kind of game, but 2D.
Okay.
A bit lighter on the side of the whole tactical end.
Simpler.
Like, yeah.
Kind of
it's a
like
lot
the difference
simpler.
between checkers and chess.
Yes, that's probably a good way of putting it. Actually, it's
Thanks.
more like checkers and less like chess. But it works really well. It's really quick. I mean, you're into a game straight away. It's got a whole leveling up system inside the game where you then buy things to take down the turrets in the lanes and then take out the guy's base. Basically, it's the same kind of thing. But it's great fun, really good fun, and some of the characters in it are hilarious. Like this weird little French, well, I'd say lizard because it looks more like a lizard than a frog. But they've done this
French.
yeah, they've done
Why
this
is he French?
because he's a lizard frog man.
What?
Well,
He's
it-
French because he's a lizard.
Completely playing on stereotypes.
The
and
fuck are you
it's
playing at,
hilarious.
son?
I'm not playing anything. Awesome Noughts, actually. That's what I'm playing at. So
Speaking of LOL, we've been playing LOL. League of Legends, right?
yeah, well,
We did
you
have a
say
couple of
playing it.
games.
Yeah, I
With
think
some-
that's somewhat my fault that you're playing that, really.
More experienced people, but not like pro or anything. Just sort of slightly better than us, I guess you
slightly
would say.
better. Well, you see, when you say playing, I mean, I logged
Well,
in
we've
and
dived
I clicked,
into a couple of games haphazard and not
Yeah.
really known what the fuck was going on,
I clicked on the ground a bit and moved around.
which was kind of what gave rise to our latest video, which was just us basically just noobing around in LOL.
You'll need to get the other video up, though, Tim. Please get the other video up.
Which one?
The 2v5.
I'm really gonna have to say sorry, but I didn't record that one.
Happer
Okay,
Blap got
well,
it.
Happer
Blap
Blap got it, and it'll be on his channel.
Okay.
But I got the other game, the one before the last one, as well as the last one. No wait, I got the first one, didn't get the middle one, then I got the last one.
So
So I've
just
got
to
another
set-
game.
Just to set the scene, I mean, you two guys are literally kind of level 1, level 2, really, when we
Yeah.
started playing.
Yeah.
And we gave you a couple of introductory games, a bit of cooperative play.
Gotta
Yeah.
say, I'm still not sure exactly what happened, other than I kind of ran around and screamed a lot.
Well, my
Yeah.
character
And Proto
kept
happened
going
a lot.
Like the screen kept going grey, and my character kept lying down, and I wasn't sure if that was like an ability.
The worst experience was when Proto would appear out of the shadows and just completely just destroy me. Usually, just before some kind of witty retort.
So basically, we ended the game five of us v2 of them who kind of know how to play LOL, and it was 60 kills to nothing.
Yeah, we killed you 60 times and you didn't kill us once. That's right.
Yes.
But with a lot
I
of
saw you
practice,
a few times.
you would
I
be
saw
a
you
lot
a few
better.
times. I saw you in the bushes.
I mean, what do you think of LoL?
I think
it has gripped the world. Lots and lots of people, millions of people are playing it now.
But it's kind of like the esport at the moment, isn't it? It's like the biggest.
Yeah.
Oh, I could definitely see how you would get into it, and I like the fact that it's all it seems very much like skill based and all that kind of chisel, and you could definitely get a feel for all the classes in that quite quickly, I think. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, it's fun. There's something about it doesn't quite. What about you, Rob?
I really like it, but my problem is I'm so bad at it that I feel
that's one of those things that you always start off with, though, in games.
Yeah, but in LoL and Hon, for another one, there's this ledge where you're kind of like you have to get to before you start actually being useful in any way, shape, or form. And before that, you get destroyed physically, mentally, just because of how crap you are.
Well,
so
I mean,
you kind of think, well, why bother playing? Because it doesn't really matter. But then when you get to the ledge, you then get destroyed by the next tier of people.
I've got to say, I was a bit surprised by the whole fact of the recommended items that your character is sort of recommended as you're playing are apparently not good choices.
Well, I mean, the thing with the game is, I mean, it's you've been playing with us, we're all sort of max level. So you're in games matched against people who are max level. So you have actually been playing against fully runed, fully masteried people who have played a lot.
I still don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, it's worthwhile grabbing your characters, maybe going in as a twosome and just joining up for some games because you'll be appropriately matched against other people of your level and skill. And that way you actually get to learn rather than just getting your ass handed to you every time you turn around.
Oh, why didn't Proto mention that?
Because it's more fun handing your ass to you.
Are you trying to tell me that Proto's some kind of devious character?
Well, no more devious than I am.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, I could definitely see it being fun. Once we were kind of on an even footing with everyone else.
It was great fun. It was great fun.
I mean, it was fun even when we were getting our asses handed to us.
When we were playing with a group of people, everyone in the same TS, and we were just having. It was just hilarious.
But I mean,
it was hilarious.
I've been hearing about it for ages, right? Well, not ages, but it's kind of been mentioned more and more. And how is it still on the rise? Is it a fad? Is it a craze that's happened recently?
It's very much on the rise. It's a massive esport. It's very, very popular.
Right.
And for a free-to-play game, they are making millions out of it, which is kind of insane.
Good work, son.
No, it's really well done. It's really well supported. Riot seem to be a really nice bunch of guys.
They're a very responsive company as well. I mean, I think they did a competition sometime early in the year to design a new champion. And so I think within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the competition closing, the new champion was in the game. And that, I mean, that's in terms of development time.
That's great
very
because I
quick.
know for a fact that they always used to go on, like for instance, in WoW, in Blizzard, they'd say, well, it takes so long for everything to get put out and character art and all that stuff and the animation and blah 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 blah, and stuff just never comes like quickly.
Yeah.
And then
when it does come, it's the stupid thing where you open your map and you can see it actually open in your hands. Like, well, thanks for that. What's that all about?
R&D's been priming this since like 2008.
Oh god.
Or it's like a mount that's kind of got some extra like gems on it, or you know what I mean?
Mount with gems.
Sparkly pony type thing.
Bizarre. I love the way they do add new heroes, and that's obviously their business model, and the skins, which works. It's a really, really good idea because then you can play You can play a character which is almost completely different in a lot, in its way it looks. There's a really nice kind of aspect to it.
Personally, I don't really give a shit, but
Well, no, if you're into the game though, if you're into the game, you're playing it a lot, then
maybe I would. Maybe
Honestly, Tim, I'd say persevere with it with a little longer.
Yeah.
Go in with Rob. I think I've even got a low-level Smurf that I can come in with you anyway. And literally, play against appropriate levels, and I think you'll actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, undoubtedly I will, and I'll definitely give it a bit more of a chance, of a few more goes and so forth. And I can see
first played the
see myself
game,
getting into it.
When I first played that kind of genre, I played Hon, and I found it really odd because obviously I was coming from World of Warcraft.
I think I played Hon with you once, and I was like, "Oh, I don't like this."
You played the tutorial.
That's right, and then I immediately just judged it and said I was never playing again.
Yeah, like you said, that's what you did with LoL as well when you played the tutorial.
I don't remember ever playing the tutorial of LoL. I think I only ever played Hon.
It was a while ago.
I'm sure I only tried Hon.
It was around the same time though.
Was it?
Yeah. And you quickly deleted it though. Again.
I'm sure that was Hon, but I'm not sure.
The tutorials are quite similar actually, so it might have just blurred into one. But yeah,
can I just say though that we've done that League of Legends video, and yeah, it was fun and everything, and I thought it was quite a funny video. But someone did actually post a comment on the video that said, "Oh God, guys, don't get sucked in or something." What was it?
Don't get sucked in or drawn in or something like that.
Yeah,
don't get sucked in. What do you think that means?
Well, you can get quite addicted to LoL.
It's a very absorbing game, and you can end up spending a lot of time.
Hadi M. Oh no, don't get sucked in, please. I don't think that's really gonna happen, to be honest. Like, if we play a few more games, we're not gonna get sucked into hardcore lolling. I don't think that's a risk.
It really tires me out actually. I can't play more than one game or two games in a row because it just makes me exhausted. Physically have to. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, I don't. There's no danger of us just getting into LoL and only ever doing LoL videos on the channel. I don't think that's a risk.
I think all LoL players of the world would unite and try and find us and kill us if we did that.
Yes.
Because watching our videos would anger them so much.
Really, would it?
Well, yeah, because we're complete noobs.
Yeah, but isn't that the point of our videos?
Oh yeah, completely. But there's a very well, you know what the other channel was like. You know what Proto's like to Far and the other way around. Think of that, but nastier.
It's all part of the game.
I know it is a game
or something.
Makes me cry.
Anyway,
moving on.
We've been doing we've been getting some keys given to us, haven't we? We've been given Hawken Beta access by a man who works for Hawken. What was his name?
I don't know. You got the email.
Well, we got the email.
But yeah, it was really cool. Very nice of him to give us an email, which we got because...
Here we go. It was Aiden. Thank you, Aiden. Aiden Minter.
Aiden, you're awesome.
Minter.
From Meteor Entertainment. So we're going to get Hawken access. I think it started today, actually, the beta, didn't it? 20th. No, it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, yeah.
So yeah, we'll jump into Hawken and we'll do some videos about that if you're interested in it. Which it looks really cool. Actually, I'm gonna really enjoy that.
Fast-paced mech warrior.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, it's really good. I played it a little bit and it was great fun.
Yeah.
And felt very kinetic, I suppose is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Speaking
of sort of piloting and things like that, Star Citizen funding.
Yay!
Well, that was kind of successful, wasn't it?
I don't know. I mean, if you want to say successful in terms of scale of money, then go for it. Because how much has it earned, Rob?
On Kickstarter, they went for $500,000. That's what their goal was, and they've currently got. When I looked on the site, it was $2,134,374. So that was pretty cool.
But suffice to say, yeah,
they've also been collecting on the site as well, on their main site. So they've actually got in total $5,500,000 across kind of both sides.
Oh, cool.
Which means they've been able to extend like what they wanted to do development-wise
Great.
quite a lot. And they've released some new videos of a new video of some more combat.
So basically, what's happened is, they went for the crowdfunding approach because they were having a hard time getting, major like people like EA
Yeah, no
or
one
whoever
plays PC games anymore.
to fund a PC-focused game that was capable of like utilizing PC in the full extent rather than caring about console.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean,
because that's a big thing now, isn't it? Because obviously console is such a gigantic platform in terms of like the amount of people who've got Xboxes and want to play the Black Ops all day.
well, that's what's really, really weird about it is gigantic, but they haven't. There's nothing new other than the Wii U that's coming out.
Yeah, because the current generation of consoles is pretty old actually.
It's really old.
So
very old, yeah.
But the
thing
that I find really funny about it, the whole situation though, is that you get then these people going on to like Star Citizen videos who are console gamers and commenting and saying, "Oh yeah, all hail the PC gaming overlords, fucking stuck up pricks or whatever."
What's ridiculous is you can go out and buy a gaming PC for less than it would be for a new release console. I mean, other than Wii U, which Nintendo will be making a loss on from launch.
Well, I don't know. What's an Xbox cost?
Well, not now, not like the old.
No, but like when
Xbox.
it first comes, like if a new Xbox came out tomorrow, what would you reckon it would cost?
Probably like £400.
Yeah,
quid?
350, 400, something like that.
Yeah, and like a full gaming rig, like PC wise,
you could do a full gaming rig for 500, 600.
Yeah, you could definitely. It might not be the greatest, but
if you needed a monitor as well, that is. I mean, like a lot of people would have a monitor already.
Well, I don't know. Not if they were console gamers.
Yeah, but they'd have a PC.
Console gamers are,
they'd
like
access
scrubs.
the internet. Some other way of doing it.
They might not have a PC. They might just like use the Xbox.
Can they read as well? I don't know.
You can't say that.
Well, I just thought we were going down the route of beating console gamers.
Mate, that was so racist.
What I find funny actually about console gamers is the first thing they say when you go around to their house to play on their console, which I don't mind doing. I enjoy console games.
It's cute.
It's cute. It's really cute. But what they first thing they do is go, look at the graphics.
Yeah.
Graphics are so awesome.
And you're like,
that's like the blurriest texture I've ever seen in my life.
Well, the thing is that when you're playing on like a big telly, I mean, a telly doesn't necessarily look as sharp as a monitor. When you're sat across the living room, does it?
Well, yes, and that's probably how they're getting away with 10-year-old consoles.
Yeah.
Is the fact.
But I mean, I can totally see why people like it because it's a more sort of casual or social friendly approach to gaming in the sense of if you want to have people round and do it, it is definitely better than like hosting a LAN party in that sense. But
it's more practical.
It's more practical for definite. Yeah. But in terms of like if
gaming
you want
quality,
gaming quality, the PC just in my opinion just won't be beaten.
Well, if you just look at what they've done with Star Citizen already on the videos, the combat video.
Hang on a minute. I'm just going to look at what they've done. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so you can. That's like alpha footage or pre-alpha footage. Sorry, and
that means it's not finished yet.
Yeah, sorry.
It's work in progress.
Yeah, it means it's not even released.
We're just
to
saying
the point
that
where
for
they
console gamers who might be watching this.
Yeah, it's kind of like some of the releases that have happened on console. Unplayable, broken.
This is the game I've been waiting for. I mean, I love the original Wing Commander. I funded it. I chucked in some money for it. I mean, it's going to be 2014 before they predict release. Alpha's going to be sometime 2013, and I've got access to the alpha now because of the donation that I've got, and I'm really keen. I'm really.
I am.
Because
what do you think about so long?
What do you think about Elite though? Because Elite's being remade, and that's a similar game.
Yeah, but you see, Elite. All I've been able to find as a frame of reference, because I don't know anything about it, is some YouTube videos where it's literally like some blue and yellow lines on a screen because it's so fucking old.
It is very old, but that's the thing. Back in the olden days, excuse me for sounding old, it was all about the gameplay. It was not about the graphics because The graphics
Are you
simply
trying to
weren't
say
there.
it's not about the
Well,
gameplay
no.
now?
Elite though, Elite used the first 3D wireframes.
It was groundbreaking at the time. I'll give it that.
There were white lines on a black background, and they were all 3D.
Almost like someone got some chalk and like drew it on the screen,
Yeah, but
like
you
that
could,
girl
but
from the BBC test
they'd
card.
rotate as well. They'd rotate. You could,
It-
and it would feel like you were blowing stuff up.
Oh
and-
right, fully rotating stuff.
Oh yeah, it was like full on 3D. That like if you imagine like the 1980s kind of like Star Trek.
It was
with the
acceptable at the
hyper
time.
graphics, where they'd have the hyper, super duper holographic images of a spaceship they were looking at, and it was just a wireframe that span round.
I don't know. I don't watch Star Trek.
You didn't do
Well,
anything.
maybe you should.
You don't do anything. You don't even know what Elite is. You call yourself a gamer.
I watched a video and it was like some lines. I mean, it doesn't
Oh,
excite
God.
me in the
It's
same
just
way.
heresy. It's just heresy. You can't say that.
It
It
is,
is,
Citizen.
yeah.
But I will say that the thing
like-
that
it's like
excites me the
weeing on
most
the
about
Pope.
Star Citizen and the potential for Elite is the fact that it's going to be like the first time in since fucking forever there was a decent like fighter pilot type game, right, for the PC where it was actually like you properly fly the ship and you're not like doing some sort of console style third person flying.
Yeah.
Because no,
Mind
that's always just not as fun because when you're sat in the cockpit and you're like using instruments and actually, it's just way more engaging. It's actually like gameplay.
Well, that sort of thing just reminds me of a game I used to play a very long time ago. It was a LucasArts game, I think it was, Battle of Britain and Secret Weapon of the Luftwaffe.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
and
I loved them.
and LucasArts did obviously the TIE Fighter and the X-Wing games, and
Yep.
they were awesome as well. We used to play the hell out of those games.
Yeah, TIE
We mentioned
Fighter
this
was,
last time.
Yeah, TIE Fighter was big.
It was a big thing, yeah. So yeah, that's great that we're going to have a game like that. It's going to look amazing, cool, awesome,
PC
great
only.
stuff. PC only. Haha, screw you.
Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars
Yeah,
2 in
we,
our recent video.
We made a video about Guild Wars 2, guys, and it was called. Wait for it.
You gotta remember what it's called.
What was that video about? It was called, Guild Wars 2: The Lost Shores. Why don't we want to play it? And that video got some kind of reaction from our viewers and some other people who may be fans of Guild Wars 2. And we're fans of Guild Wars 2. That's it. That's the thing about that video, is that basically what the gist of the video was that we were saying, well, Guild Wars 2 is bringing out new content, and it has brought out new content, the Halloween content, now the Lost Shores, and it looks great and awesome and fantastic.
High quality.
High quality, not just like cheap, let's add a few like models and stuff, really in depth. And for some reason we're just like, it doesn't call to us. And we're like, why? So we made a video sort of saying that, like, why don't we feel like we want to dive in, and why isn't it pulling us back in? And sort of puzzling about that. And I sort of predicted that we might get like a bit of a mixed response, which I think we have, but most of the comments that we've received sort of align with what we're saying. But that's not to say there haven't been people who've watched the video who've disagreed with us, because the video actually itself has received, 25 thumbs up and 22 thumbs down, which is pretty much split down the middle. So
Yeah.
the thing that I always find interesting about that is that the people who thumbs down very rarely leave comments.
What were they thumbs downing? Were they thumbs downing the fact that we were saying that? Were they thumbs downing because we disagreed with our view?
Well, we won't know because they don't comment. I think it's just it gives me the impression that the people who thumbs down that stuff are like hardcore Guild Wars 2 fanboys who just look at the video on its face value and go, oh well, obviously these people are saying Guild Wars 2 sucks. I immediately am butthurt and I'm going to downvote this and leave in a rage.
I'd rather hear why people.
But yeah, I'd like to
disagree
hear
with us.
why they disagree. Don't just vote down a video and leave. Tell us why, because we just want to hear people's opinions. We want to engage in a discussion, and we're welcome for having calm discussion with people about these topics. So let us know. Please go back to the video and tell us why you disagree. I mean, there have been some people who've commented about, the fact.
What comments have we got there, Tim?
Well,
you show us some of those comments.
Well, I have prepared some comments here for this occasion, and let's just go through some of them. So, like, we've got a comment here from a guy called Vampy Doll. I think that's how he say his name, or her name. And basically, he's saying, I know exactly what you guys are saying. I have the absolute same thing. I didn't even log in. Sad face. I don't know why I didn't either. And I was so excited for it. And that's exactly what we're saying. We were like, Guild Wars 2, it's amazing. And we were, especially during the beta, we were like, can't wait for it to be released so we could just play it to our heart's content. And
we played the hell out of the beta. Like, seriously.
Yeah, and then when it released,
and
we leveled up. We kind of were active, leveling up, enjoying the story and the content and all that. And then it kind of just phased out.
Well, I think one of the biggest things for me with Guild Wars 2 was effectively the taxation. It seemed to be really difficult to earn money and keep it.
Right.
And that kind of, you know, I mean, I remember playing Warcraft where, you know, however much it was for your first mount at level 40 was a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
But you could make it. Whereas in Guild Wars, it seems that every time you earn even a tiny little bit of money, it would be gone again because, you know, travelling costs so much. I think it was a 15% tax on the auction house. It makes it very difficult to trade on the market to make money. So for that,
repair
I think, is the main reason from and repair costs in the ultra insane dungeons that didn't actually have a solution, and that for me just made me not want to play it.
Yeah.
I understand the concept that, you know, it's a one-off purchase. It's not an ongoing cost, so they've got to make the money somehow. But I think they kind of, for me, they pushed it a little too far, and I thought I'm not going to bother.
In terms
I'm
of
not invested in it.
The gem store and the buying of money through gems and things like that, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd sort of have to say that's probably true. And we've got another comment here from Lucas0036 who also says, you know, they tax you to death in this game. It's so hard to make money and get ahead. Crafting is expensive with too many tiers. Legendaries are stupid. No P2P trade window and no first person for dungeons and tight spaces. Guild Wars 1 had first person and it never needed it. Why doesn't this one? I mean, I don't necessarily know. I don't think it needs first person, but on the whole, you know, money side, I definitely think they could have made it slightly more forgiving, especially when the dungeons, you know, they're pushing the fact that the content is difficult and it's a skill-based game, and yet you need kind of money to be able to repair.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And if it's a little bit too punishing, like I think it is, it's a little bit maybe demoralizing and makes you just not want to go there.
Well, again, like we've talked about before, I don't think it's the punishment that's the problem. It's the lack of solution and the damn blind luck that you have to kind of possess to make it through.
It's easy to say that, but I mean, some people have commented on. We were getting into the subject almost of our other video where we were saying, well, you know, the story mode dungeons were a little bit too, well, not really hard but we were saying that they didn't really require like a tactic almost because they were kind of just more sort of damage numbers based and things like that. But
and luck.
And
some
luck,
of them did. Some of them did. Some of them did.
But yeah, and luck. And
some of the fights were awesome. There's only a few fights that were kind of just stupid.
Yeah, some of them were pretty okay in that sense. But yeah, not being able to make the money on top of that to be able to keep up with, you know, we didn't have a problem with wiping and sucking and trying again, but you get to a certain point where you can't because you don't have the money. And then you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I guess that's a factor if we want to try and find out why we're not really up for it as much as
grinding the money for repairs is it would be demoralizing completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
In that side of things, so
yeah,
I definitely agree. I agree with his comment. And first person wise, I think it's interesting. A lot of people have said this, and I can kind of see the point, you know, for screenshots and things in tight corners. But is it because they're locking the camera for PvP purposes?
Could be.
Are they locking it down a lot? Because you can't zoom out very far, you see, unless you're in a big boss fight.
Well, I get why they don't want you to zoom out completely because because if it was something that you could adjust, like in the settings, in a thing where people are going to like do PvP, for instance, like or in World versus World, World versus world versus world versus world versus blah 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 blah. Dub v dub.
Whoop whoop.
Wob wob. Yeah, if you can have it like really far out, there are going to be people who won't have it really far out, who might have a disadvantage in that sense. So yeah, I get why they've locked it down like that.
Well, especially because they want to make it competitive.
But yeah, I mean, in WoW,
Well, they did,
there was
anyway.
there was settings where you could have the camera like ultra far out, and you could even macro it to go further. And a lot of people used to play like that. I used to at one point have like when I was doing WoW in
You could
certain
even see your character.
in certain dungeons where the fights were just so big. Because I mean, some of these fights, don't forget, like boss fights that are covering massive areas where there are ads. You might actually have wanted to have that view to see what the fuck was going on, with ads or a certain thing out the corner of your eye with an off tank or anything.
Yeah,
So-
I mean they do zoom out on the big bosses. Like when you're outside fighting a dragon, you do get more camera zoom out.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of slightly on rails almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very on rails. It's like you can't, you don't.
Which
have,
I don't
as soon
have
as
a
the dragon
problem
goes
with
away,
if
that's
it's
it.
helping you see what's going on. But at the same
It's-
time, it's a little bit sort of not sure
When
if
it's
I like that.
actively obstructing what you're trying to do, it's not exactly helpful.
Yeah, I would say that's happened a couple of times when I've been involved in one of those events. But, I do like... It's coming back to that whole thing. We love Guild Wars 2, the way it works and the events, and I think the most fun part about it was just going through it almost as like a multiplayer adventure type game, and then once we got to the end, it just kind of... story was kind of played out, and... Yeah,
Kind of disappointing at the end, wasn't it?
well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't even finish the story mode. Well, not the story mode, but the story.
No, I didn't either because I was doing it with Tom and kind of waiting for him to come back, and he
I got to a
didn't.
certain point, like I got to Ore, and I was helping Traherne against Zaitan.
Again.
Again,
and,
while Traherne sort of stood in the back,
Traherne was like,
did his nails.
"Please do everything. I'm useless." And then at one point, I was just like, "I don't want to do this anymore." And then I found myself standing in Lion's Arch a bit, and then I was like,
Dumping them down,
What
running
do I
across the
do?
bridge.
"What do I do now? I'm talking to people on TeamSpeak, but not really doing anything in game. I think I'll just go play something else."
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of just like, yeah, it's a great game. It worked, I think, for what it was. It was kind of like, it was almost as if that's how a multiplayer Skyrim should have been, like for the single player, like story mode version of it, like going through and helping each other with quests. Like that part of it was great. We loved it. And then once we'd gone through most of the zones and leveled up, it was kind of like, well, what's next?
I think I got my money's worth out of it, though. I'm quite happy with that.
Oh, completely. We got
Yeah, I mean,
a
as
lot
the
of
game
money's
goes,
worth.
I mean, definitely happy with
Yeah,
the money aspect of it.
yeah.
Well,
We've got
not-
another.
not desperately wanting my money back for sure.
We've got another comment on the back to the topic of the Lost Shores not being calling to us from a guy called Levities, and he's saying that there's nothing to accomplish in Guild Wars 2. It's perfectly well made, but the dynamic events have no impact on the world. How many times can you save a town? What's the point?
Yeah.
Why is it so expensive to teleport around when it in Guild Wars 1 it was
Going
free?
back to the cost again, yeah.
Where are the missions? Where is the character's sense of story arc? You aren't in the story. You're walking from one occurrence of content to another. There's no Rorik, no Ascalon. There's absolutely nothing to care about. And I don't think that's strictly true, that final point, because there are certain parts of the story where it's kind of like, oh, characters come and go, but it's not really like deep or anything like that.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
would
like,
say.
on the lore side, I never played Guild Wars 1, but I did read some of the stuff they put out in preparation for Guild Wars 2. And with Ascalon, it did feel a bit like they hop, skip, jumped over it, especially with it being the first dungeon at level 30, and then you're actually killing Alburn straight away. It was kind of a bit, really? Are they not going to do anything else with that? And then Prince Rurik doesn't really show up at all, I don't think. Is he around in the dungeon? The ghost?
I don't know,
Can't remember.
because I don't know anything about the story.
But
Because
There's
I'm a complete I don't know about the stories in games. I just kind of log in and kill stuff.
So it did feel a bit like after I read the book, it was cool to see all the places really well described.
Yeah.
It did feel like Ascalon was kind of never mind kind of thing. It's like, well, it's kind of the center of everything in that universe, or world, I suppose.
Really?
Yeah, and it was kind of like it was there, but it was almost like a nod or
I guess that
polite
could,
kind of wave.
if you were into the lore, I guess that would be a bit of a ball ache when he got to that, and it was like,
I mean, I get the idea that obviously the dragons are now the main focus, and that's the point that
Zaitan.
the awakening and all that. Yeah, and Turhern is bow
We
beating
must
you
destroy
about Zaitan.
Zaitan.
Yeah,
Do it
pause
now.
Yeah, let's go.
Destroy Zaitan faster.
I can't do that. What you haven't through like emo stages, or didn't he? Yeah. So yeah, I think the story did feel a bit, especially at the end. I mean, the story was great all the way until the end when it's kind of, it just didn't. The final part in the final story dungeon just was really good
that
fun.
was a big letdown.
Really good fun until that end bit, which I'm not gonna, I don't want to tell anyone what happened, but yeah, it was a very floppy flop. and then that kind of killed it all for me, killed the magic. That's kind of like, what is that? It seriously, is that what I was? That's what I did all that for.
Yeah.
I mean, I even had Jonah, my 4-year-old, pressing the button at the end.
Successfully.
That's literally what it was. It was press the button, press number 2, repeatedly.
Press 2 to destroy Zaitan.
Yeah. And that was just depressing. But yeah, I mean, the dynamic events, I think, were a really good idea. And I kind of get what this guy's saying, because obviously, but the problem with the dynamic events is the way they designed them was, obviously they have to have a track, and then you start off in the middle of this track, and then certain events happen, and it, depending on whether they win or lose, the cart gets pushed along the track towards the losing end or the winning end. So if like loads of people are in an area, and then the dynamic event fires, and everyone does that dynamic event, and they win, and then they all leg it somewhere else. And then the next dynamic event starts, and then it loses, and it takes it back to the stage before. And then everyone comes back again, and they do the same thing and push it onto the next stage. I can see how that gets really irritating. But I've been in loads of places where the world literally changed, especially on Ore, like where I've logged out in some places and come back, and it's like overrun by the undead who hold it. So I can see that there is problems with that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as problematic as what it should be. I think once you get past the first sections of how they're kind of like introducing dynamic events, then you get a bit more interesting as you get towards the harder stuff.
Yeah. We've got another comment from Avascars, and he's saying that the main problem of Guild Wars 2 is the fact that we simply don't care for anything. WoW achieved simply by its fellow lore nerds and community. Guild Wars 2 is like a just being happy story where there's not much emotion to it, but rather the stats. We get hooked to WoW simply because we care for our guild, friends and new players. Guild Wars 2 has such amazing gameplay. However, I'm saddened we don't care for its story at all. No suspense.
Again, I don't know. I mean, in WoW, yeah, there was a story. I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was. I played that game for years.
Yeah, I've got to say,
Farazan will be able to tell you what it is. Barry will be able to tell you what it is.
There were. I mean, the thing with Warcraft is there wasn't just one story, and that's quite important. There were a hell of a lot of stories in WoW. Every zone had story. There were so many threads of different stories running through the entire thing. I mean, think of things like the Onyxia quest line or Unlocking Blackwing Lair, and they were complete story arcs on their own.
They were.
And there were so many of them.
But I think they definitely got better at doing it over time as well with the expansions.
Totally agree with that.
Because it seemed a little bit strung out in the first iteration.
Oh, completely, because and that showed from the amount of grind we had to do.
Yeah.
because it was, you got a bit of story and then you had to kill 473 badgers, and then you had a little bit more story. So, I mean, the WoW story my brother-in-law was very much into, and I never had the chance to get into it at all. I think I've read some.
They had some great characters.
Yeah, they had it. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant game.
When you got to like Illidan and Arthas and all that stuff, it was cool.
Yeah, and I actually knew more about
and I'll admit I knew more about that than I mean I wasn't like completely into it, but I knew more about that than I ever understood about Guild Wars 2. But again, I don't think this is about comparing Guild Wars 2 to WoW in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I got more into the story in Guild Wars 2 than I did in Lost Barry.
Oh dear.
No, we didn't. Oh, it was a different one. Sorry.
No, I'm still here.
No, you're still here. It was the Chuffers. I keep hearing the Chuffers disappearing. Carry on.
So yeah, anyway, Guild Wars 2 has, amazing gameplay, but I'm saddened we don't care for its story. Would you say that's true?
I like the story in Guild Wars 2. I didn't like the story in WoW, like I said. I like the story in Guild Wars 2 though, and I got into it more from the book and then because I thought this time when I started, because when I started WoW, I had no idea. I was playing Eve, didn't really follow the story too much in that. There wasn't really much one.
But
anyway,
do you think it's accessible to someone who hasn't necessarily like played Guild Wars 1 or read any of the
because
stuff?
I didn't play Guild Wars 1.
Yeah, I do, because I had never played the original Guild Wars, and I got well into Guild Wars 2
do you think
for a while.
So you think that the story, the personal story, does a good job of pulling you into the world and progressing you?
It made me want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's very well done in terms of involving you. So yeah, I'd have to say we probably don't necessarily agree with Avascars on that point.
But I do agree with him on the point of guilds and things. What taking care of the guild. I think, obviously, like I've said before, I think that the not having the social things working fully on day one killed the social aspect of Guild Wars 2 for me, because I just didn't get to meet any new people, especially from the channel. We didn't really get that connection going straight away. But I also think that being able to join any guild and having multiple guilds kind of thing, actually did do a lot of damage to that side of things as well.
I don't think that was a wise choice in the long run.
I get the idea, but the guild loyalty side of things was a big thing in WoW.
Yeah.
And,
well, you got into a guild and it was like, great, I'm part of like a little group now, and it's kind of like you feel like you belong somewhere, and you get to know the people in that guild, and you form sort of friendships within the guild and so on. And when you can just switch who you're representing, it sort of waters that down to nothing.
It becomes. I mean, I understand what they're doing, but it just becomes, why am I with these people?
Or why am I in a guild?
Why did I want to join these people? Whereas when you join a guild in WoW, you put the effort in to try and then, actually get into groups and
help the
find
guild.
New friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would say that was a thing that sort of contributed to the lack of interest.
Because in WoW, sometimes you just log in, you just be talking in guild chat, and you might just check the auction house or put some stuff up, or that's what Hawken did most of the time. He just stood in the auction house making money and talking in guild.
Yeah,
and then maybe going to Molten Corn sometimes. It was also going.
But that was it. I mean, as much as WoW had some good raids and the content and all that stuff was cool, it was ultimately, when you were in a guild, it was like a glorified chat window.
It was good, and I think all of us can say we made some really good friends through it.
Definitely.
I mean, so obviously we met some real assholes like Barry.
But yeah, well, that's right. I met some real assholes as well, like you guys.
Well, yeah, we're glad we fulfilled that role. But yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? There are different. It just made connections so much easier.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating in so many ways though with Guild Wars 2, because technically it works on so many levels in terms of the gameplay, and the combat's great, the artwork's brilliant, but there's just these little details that kind of drag it down a little bit and just sort of alienate you a bit, I guess.
I hope they can do something to tweak it into
It just
existence
seems
again.
like a shame, that, and it's not just us. There's loads of people out there sort of saying the same thing, and obviously, there are going to be those people who are, hardcore fans, and if you want to go and enjoy Guild Wars 2, we're not saying that you're stupid or we hate you or anything. We're like, go, good for you, go and enjoy it. It's a great game, and if you want to continue to play it and do the end game, great, that's we're glad for you.
Yeah, if you still enjoy it, then I'm actually a little bit jealous.
We sort of wish that we could still enjoy it that way, but for whatever reason, probably the reasons we've just outlined, yeah.
So,
it is a shame.
So
hopefully they can do something to maybe make it better. I mean, it's not going anywhere. It's not like Guild Wars 2 came out and then failed to retain its subscribers or anything, because it's not really a subscriber-based.
They're still really active,
and there are loads of people still playing it. It's not like Star Wars: The Old Republic.
And someone actually commented saying that what's his name, Mr. Luigi or something like that.
Luigi.
Yeah.
Mr.
Why can't people have normal names like Bob?
Mr. Lepper.
Frank. Yeah. Anyway, the Halloween event got him back in, or them back into Guild Wars 2.
And that's great. That's good for you, man.
And that's exactly what these events should be doing, and I think that's how they wanted it to play. They didn't really want the constant amount of people in there, but they wanted to be able to put content out that kept people interested enough to, they were. It seems that Guild Wars 2 wasn't made to be a sign in and hang around MMO anyway. So
it doesn't really work like that.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that people will be able to get back into it after the Halloween event, and hopefully there's going to be we'll be seeing loads more awesome content. Which, I mean, The Lost Shores just looks awesome content. It looks like really good quality.
Before we totally just say that it's failed to keep us, engaged, I think it's probably worth noting that if we were part of like a more dedicated Guild Wars 2 infrastructure other than just our general gaming clan, we probably would be a little bit more kind of engaged with it.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're just not part of like anything like that because we didn't want to get too into that side of it.
And there has been so many good games out as well.
Oh yeah, there has
been so
XCOM
many.
Just kind of swept a load of people off their feet, really.
I am still loving the XCOM, and I'm playing it right now.
Exactly. And it's been such a good year for games. Long may it continue.
Yeah, well, thanks to things like Star Citizen, it looks that it will do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid consoles.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Let's call this, shall we? Let's move on and do some shout outs to some of our friends.
Yeah, we're gonna just give a quick shout out to some of our fellow YouTubers.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to carry on then talking.
I was, but like a fly flew right past my face, and I was kind of like, "What?" No, not a fly, a moth. There's a moth in here.
You don't like moths?
No, it kind of. I was talking, and then this thing was like in front of my face. Anyway, yeah, let's do shout outs to Happerblap,
Mr. Happerblap,
Mr. Darren. We've been
his
playing a lot
channels,
with him and linking up our channels together. If you actually look on our channel page, you'll notice that we've got like a little grenade icon next to the bunny at the top on our banner there. If you click on that, that takes you to his channel, and likewise, he's got like a little bunny on his for our channel. And we're trying to do that. We're trying to incorporate people more into like a little group of, YouTubers who we feel are on the same wavelength as us. So we can kind of grow the love.
Not a very mature wavelength, but it's a wavelength.
God no.
Well, we try not to be too mature.
Yeah. We've also got WD5K, Mr. Jamie. Go and check out his channel. We'll put links to all these channels in the description, by the way.
He's changing his name, actually. It's not WD5K anymore, which you can hear about in his recent blog.
Can I just say that was probably a very smart move?
Well,
because that's not necessarily an easy name to remember.
He's not. Yeah, he's changing the name, not the channel. He's not going to change his channel thing and get it all like having people have to resub to a different channel. He's just going to change his.
He's just going to call it something else.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and out of batteries.
Yeah, he's really nice. We played some LOL with him and Happablat last night, which you can see the video of, and you can rest your head gently in your hands and sob for the bad playing that we all.
Wow.
Well, actually, I think Happablat and our battery.
I don't see
better
why
than what
you guys are like so negative about that. I mean, that's obviously the point of the video, is that we suck at it. It's called the fluffy noob style lol. For Christ's sakes.
Noob style, the way
Yeah.
it goes. Yeah, so we played that. It was really
Noob
really good
style,
game.
not
Very
Gangnam
funny.
style.
He's a really nice guy, so you should check out his channel as well.
Yes.
Click. There we
Click. Boom. Thanks again, guys, for joining us for this podcast. And if you've made it this far, we salute you.
go. Well done, guys.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Thanks again, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Cue music.